Do you know what an artist and a sniper have in common? Details. Like when a touch of color is out of place. When a shadow does not match with its surroundings. Or when a shape is not where it is supposed to be. The only difference is the stakes. Mine are higher.
You are watching AFox, and today, as you can see, we're back on Rainbow Six Siege. I am bringing a new series for you guys. This is like a tips and tricks on how to use an operator, and I don't really know what I'm going to name the series. I will give it some title, don't worry. As you can see here, we are on the bio page, and I thought I would point this out because if you do want to have a little bit more of an in-depth review of the characters, this is where you find it, in the bio page. It's very interesting. I definitely recommend you have a read. But as you can see from the title and the whole little intro there, we are looking at GLAZ today, who is a marksman rifle, sniper rifle guy. He uses the OTS 03 with a long range rifle, which is high recoil per shot and a small magazine. It is a very good gun, but we'll talk about that in a moment. So here is the choice of pistols. You've either got the PMM with short range and damage of 58, or you've got the GSH18, which sounds very dodgy to say, which is also short range, semi-auto with low recoil and damage, and it's also got damage of 42. So I prefer going with the PMM just because it's got better damage on it, even though I don't really use secondary weapons very often. And as you can see here, we've got the breaching charge. It's a choice of gadget, or the smoke grenade. I value the smoke grenades more, but recently I am feeling that perhaps using a breaching charge might be a little bit more important for you. It depends how you want to play with the guy himself, if you want to go off lone wolfing more or not. If you're a lone wolfing, you're probably going to want breaching charges so you can make your own entry points, change it up and make unknown locations viewable for you, so you can get those good sniper shots. But if you want to just enter with your team, or perhaps flank or be a decoy, you might want to throw in a smoke grenade here or there, or use it as a way of entering the room. So either way, I think they're both good choices, but perhaps I'm now going to say breaching charges are more important. But don't underestimate the smoke, because the smoke is really useful. So as you can see, when I first load into the match, I have popped up my little second sight, my enhanced sight vision, which has like a little red tint to it. I think it's a really good sight, not gonna lie. It goes over the top of whatever sight you choose to use as your attachment, whether it's iron sights or if you've got something attached to it specifically. I purchased the reflex sight. I'm not gonna lie, I'm only using this one because I prefer the iron sight. The iron sight, I prefer the crosshair. I'm not really bothered what sight I have on here. Because when you flick the little red thing on it, it makes it all look the same anyway. But I just prefer the crosshair and how accurate the crosshair feels. I'm also using the flash hider instead of using the suppressor. You can either use one of the two for this gun, and that's the only other attachment, so there's not really too much going on with the gun to change it up itself. But I prefer using flash hider just because that means I can be less visible, and I feel like that's more important as a sniper. I'm not too bothered about making a loud bang and a sound because I usually end up being in a different location to the rest of my team, so I feel like the sounds sort of bounce off of each other and you can work with your team to distract the enemies, confuse them, and I don't know, I prefer being loud and proud about that one. So out of all the attackers, GLAZ is probably my second favourite attacker. He is really fun to use. He's more of a laid-back character. I would choose to use him as a defender on your team more than the attacker, the one that runs in. Just because, of course, you're using sniper, so you don't want to be doing too much close quarter action here. You want to be picking off the enemies from afar, letting the rest of your team take control and pick up those sight lines for you, and then you go in an advantage over those. As you can see, my team kind of got a little bit unlucky there. He got stabbed from behind. I'm not too sure how that guy managed to get behind us. But there you go, that's what can happen in this game. So you've got to be prepared for anything. Always keep your back covered. So if you really want to get a good idea of how to play with this guy, I'd suggest going to have a little attempt at these situations. If you do attempt the situations, you're going to be given the iron sights and a silencer, which is what I've got equipped on here now. I personally feel like these two are equipped really nicely together. I prefer the feeling of this gun when I was playing on the situations than what I do when I play with him on multiplayer. I don't know why, I just feel like it's a little bit more comfortable to use this gun. It doesn't really make too much of a big difference, but if you want to know what this gun's like with just the iron sight and the silencer, this is it. And it does feel pretty powerful getting those sniper shots because the silencer is really nice. So as you can see, we're going in for the stealth attack on here. This is the situations mission where you've got to grab the hostage and get out. And using a sniper is quite a tricky thing to do if you're going inside a building, because of course at some point you have to be in close quarter attacks. But to avoid having to be in so many close quarter attacks when I entered that building to get the hostage, I decided to flank around and be a good sniper and keep my distance for a while. This is something that you should take advantage of in multiplayer as well as if it's on terrorist hunt or whatever you're doing, because the rooftops are really your best friend in this sort of game. It depends what map you're on, of course, but the rooftops are really valuable to you. It means that you can get those good corners and good sight lines without the enemy team really knowing where you are. There's usually people running about inside the main room, whichever it is that they're defending, so look out for the windows, check that they're not around there, and if they are and you're not using a silencer, you can really tear up the action that's going on in there, scare the hell out of the enemy team if you're shooting through the windows, because they're going to be focusing on you then, which is really good if you also just want to be the decoy for your team. And of course, having somebody as that little decoy is really useful. Now, if you are going to be a decoy, being loud and proud and not having a silencer is the best approach to that one. There's nothing more satisfying than shooting the hell out of a room, scaring the hell out of the enemy teams, because they know they've got to watch their backs to make sure they're not going to get shot when they walk past at the wrong time through that area that you were shooting at. So it kind of gives that next level of like irritation for the enemy team, because they've got to watch their back at the same time as watching wherever the rest of your team is breaching from and attacking and trying to shoot them at. So it is really fun to be able to just sort of work against the enemy team in that way. But if you want to work with your team and approach together, I think Ash is a really good character to use because she has breaching rounds which you can just blast through any wall, and she doesn't even have to get up and close with you. She can just do that and then piss off and go on and do what she wants to do. So it is a really good combination. Same with Thermite as well. He can breach open and broom for you if you don't have the breaching charges and you've decided to go with smoke grenades. He can breach that open for you. You can chuck in a smoke grenade and you can enter the room, and the enemy team won't be able to shoot because they're not going to know where you're coming from. You know, it is a really good tactic to have. So if you do want to work with your team, that's probably the other people that I would suggest you follow around with. Sledge perhaps is a good guy to run with, but considering Sledge is usually more of a run in, bash down anything and run straight through the wall, you might get yourself killed. Be careful of who you're playing with that is being Sledge and sort of style that they play with. If you play with me, do not be GLAZ and run around with me. That's a very bad idea. But anyway, one quick thing that I wanted to mention is if you are playing GLAZ, do just enjoy pacing yourself, being a sniper, slow. You don't need to rush. This isn't Call of Duty anyway, you know, you don't have to do 360 no scopes. It's a lot more stealthy than that. So this game really does let you be a proper sniper, and it is really fun. Anyway, that's kind of everything there is to summarize about GLAZ. He's just a sniper, you know, that is who he is and what he does. But if you want to see more loadout videos like this, or just tips and tricks on how to play around with the characters, let me know. I really do want to do some, and I'll bring definitely Sledge into my next one. But until next time, bye!